Did you know that most people with ADD or ADHD tend to think that they should live by structure, but they tend to resist it? True story. What I've done in my life is I've created structure with flexibility. See, my brain needs the flexibility and at the same time, the structure to achieve the goals that I'm working towards. And that is exactly why I've created the Monday morning brain dump process and mastermind. This video is not to convince you to follow this process or that you need this process. I actually have a whole other video for that, and it's down below in the link. I don't know about you, but my whole life, I've been caught in this cycle of commit, quit, feel like shit. Let me tell ya, commit. I am such a big dreamer. I'll commit to almost anything. I have great ideas flowing out of me all the time. I get super gung-ho, commit to it, and a week, maybe two if I'm lucky, I've fallen off the rails. I quit, and then guess what? I feel like shit, and I beat myself up. Now, one of the things about people that have ADD or ADHD, they often struggle with self-dysmorphia. They often see all of their faults way more than they see their strengths and the positive things about them. Now, I know and I get it, lots of people do this, but this is a much more heightened and common trait of somebody who does have ADD or ADHD. There was so many times in my life, whether it be sports, musical instruments, projects at school, almost everything actually. I really can't remember a whole lot of things that I committed to and followed through on. Unless it really interested my brain, I was out. Let me talk to you about the dopamine system. Our dopamine system is a reward system that is motivated by dopamine hits. It helps to regulate our emotional response, and it helps us to take action. It gives us the pleasure and the reward. And when this happens, it creates more motivation to keep on going. ADHD affects the reward system in our brain. It affects the dopamine system in our brain. So let's talk about and let's think about this for a second. If the dopamine hits affects our motivation, well, guess what? If this is being affected in our brain, our motivation is affected. If this system is affected and it affects our emotional response and our ability to regulate our emotional response, often we're feeling high anxiety, high overwhelm, and totally confused, which leads to not staying committed to the goals and things that we want to achieve. And so we just quit and then we feel like shit. If this system is affected and it's the system that actually helps us to take action, well, then what actually is happening is we are not taking action, which leads us to never achieving the goals that we have. And if this system is the system that modulates our reward and pleasure center, that creates more motivation for ourselves, well, if we never get the pleasure and the reward, then our motivation is very low. And then what we end up doing is we go to things that can hurt us on the other side, which is often why people with ADHD, they will overdrink, overeat, over social media. They get caught in things that their brain deems as interesting instead of them determining what it is they're going to do. So the reason why the Monday morning brain dump actually helps is because it adds structure and helps to create new neural pathways in the brain that are created by repeated ways of thinking and being and doing. So think about this. Driving a car. Our brain, the neural pathways, they're like all these roadways. And so when we're driving our car and we're driving down the same road, it's a dirt road, driving down the same road every single day, what happens? Ruts get built into that road. And that's exactly like our neural pathways. They're like little ruts in the road. And anytime we try to steer out of them, that little rut pulls us back in. Well, what this structure does is it helps to build new little pathways, new little roads in our brain. And the more we do that, the easier it becomes. Okay, so let's jump into the 7 steps. I'm gonna blow through these. You can take notes or you can download the exact steps that I take in the link below. Before you do anything, schedule time in your weekly calendar, 1 hour a week. I like to do it on Mondays because it sets me up for a really great week. I know my plan ahead. The other thing that you can do is join me Mondays at noon. I actually have a free mastermind that I offer where me and a bunch of female entrepreneurs get together on a Zoom call and we do this process with each other. It's great because it gives you the accountability. It also gives you body double and gives you that structure. So schedule 1 hour every Monday. If you want to join me, it's at noon Pacific. So you can go to my Instagram bio and there's a link there that will send you the invite so that you can join us. But if you're not going to do that, please schedule an hour and do this process yourself. Keep trying and trying and trying. Do it for a month and see the difference that it can make. So let's jump into those steps. Step number 1 is a massive brain dump. Get a blank sheet of paper or your notes up, wherever you like to write down, and just start writing down every single task, every single to-do, every single thing that you would like to achieve. This could be from like creating a whole new website, or it could be to creating a new habit of drinking more water every day. It really doesn't matter what it is, just make sure you take it out of your head, you get it down on the paper. For this step, I give myself 10 minutes. Do it now. Step number 2. Now you go through the list and you write down beside each of the tasks. Automate, so can it be automated? Delegate, can you take it off your list and give to someone else? Eliminate, do you really want to decide to do this task? Because your to-do list depends on what you want to do. This is not dependent on what anybody else tells you you should do or what you think you should do. Do you want to do it? So this is your chance to eliminate something off your list if it no longer aligns with who you are or where you're going. Then there is the multitask. Does this task have multi-steps to it? If that's the case, then you mark it with an MT. If it's automate, put an A. If it's eliminate, put an E. If it's delegate, you put a D. And then you have multitask, put an MT beside it. And then the other one is this week's task. So anything that may be a one-off, like email so-and-so about the new Porsche that I want to buy, or whatever it may be, make sure you put this week's task. So I just put a star beside those ones. For that step, I give myself 5 minutes. Step number 3 is automate. So this is where you want the ones that you know you can automate. You need to figure out what is an automated system that works for you. So for me, I have in my calendar every morning at 7 a.m. is my morning flow, which is my morning routine. And if you haven't seen that video, please make sure you check it out. The link is in the bio. And that's really setting up a morning routine that works for you. But in my daily calendar, I have it automated that I get up in the morning, I make my coffee, I pull out my vitamins, I light an incense, I do my morning meditation, and I walk my dogs. That is the first things that I do before I look at my phone, before I do anything. So that's an example of something you can automate. Maybe a reminder to take out your garbage, or maybe it is to connect with friends over the weekend because you love to work and sometimes you forget that. So looking at your calendar, what can you automate? Now, the next one I also give myself 5 minutes for, and this one is the multi-step. So looking through the ones that I marked as the multitask ones is I go through, I pull them out, and I write down every step that I can think of. Every single step that is in this process, I write it all down. That one, 5 minutes, like I said. Step number 5 is where I give myself 15 minutes. This is the step that is a 3-part process, but but it's very quick and simple if you stay focused. So if you need to take a break now. But if you're still going, then keep on going, and you can do this. This is where you ask yourself, what order do all of these things need to go in? I like to think, what are the needle movers? Because those are the ones that you tend to put off for as long as possible. So what are the things that are gonna move the needle towards the direction that you wanna go? Those things should be the ones that come first. So you put that in and you decide that that one is going to come first. Then you write just numbers beside in what order do the rest of the things need to get done. Second part of this one is you decide how long it's going to take you. You make a decision and you look at it and this is where anybody who struggles with time blindness, which is another ADHD thing, that you make a decision how long it's going to take you, you time yourself, and then the next week you end up getting really good at understanding how long it actually takes you to accomplish things. Sometimes it's easy to see such a big picture that it gets overwhelming and we think it's going to take way longer than it does, and then we surprise ourselves. So make sure you make a decision on how long you're going to set for that task. The next step is you schedule it into your calendar. So you take those things and you start plugging them into your calendar. Now you know how much time you have available, how much time it's going to take you, and where you're going to put it. Once you do this, you just start crossing things off of that to-do list. This is such a great feeling. Now, when you put it in your calendar and you start to build the muscle of commitment to those tasks at that time, you start to feel so good about yourself. You start to know that you can trust yourself to show up for yourself. It's such an amazing feeling. So make sure you take it and you schedule it in. Remember, this step, give yourself about 15 minutes. Step number 6. Now, if you have not done the 10-year, 5-year, 1-year you and the process of creation, which is something that I do with all of my clients and I have a video about, which also is in the link below, then you may not need to do this step. But essentially, it's look over goals. So this is where you go back, you look over the goals that you've already set, and you start to pull out, okay, what are the things I want to accomplish this week? Then you do that exact same process. You decide how long it's going to take and you slot it into your calendar. For looking over your goals, I give myself about 15 minutes for that one too. And step number 7 is state your top 3. State your top 3. So every time at the end of our Monday morning meetings, everybody jumps in, we throw out our top 3, and you set those as your intention goals for the week. So one thing that my clients often say is like, well, I want to do them all. Great, if you want to do them all, that's awesome. But the process of 1, 2, 3 is going to get you moving. It's going to give you that hit of dopamine. It's going to keep you motivated. You cross things off and you move on. So state your 3. If you finish them, then grab 3 more. State your 3, I only take 5 minutes. So remember, the reason why this system works is because every time you check something off, you get a dopamine hit. Reminders are amazing for the ADHD brain because ADHD, the area that is affected is your prefrontal cortex. So reminders help your prefrontal cortex remember what is important to you. So set those reminders, automate as much as you can. And like I said, this is amazing for time blindness because you begin to understand and know how long things actually take you. Awareness is one of the first steps to being able to move forward. Ask yourself this: is your current productivity system working for you? If it's not, maybe it's time to ditch it and start creating new neural pathways that actually work for your brain. Join me. It's so much more fun to do with a group of people. And you know what? I get it. Traditional productivity systems don't work for me. So don't give up. Don't get discouraged. Just know that you haven't found the right answer yet, and you've got to keep moving. You've got to keep trying. And this system might not even be the right system for you, but I encourage you to try it and tweak it, see what does work and what doesn't work. Finding what works for you will be one of the keys to helping you break the cycle of commit, quit, and feel like shit. And just remember, consistency is not a good measuring tool for people with ADD or ADHD. So Don't beat yourself up if you're not consistent. This is a muscle that you must work and you must grow, and it's gonna take time. And part of that time is getting up and then falling. Getting up and then falling. Trying it and it doesn't work. Trying it again and it doesn't work. So it's really, what I love to say to my clients is you have care and compassion for yourself when you don't show up in the full capacity that you wish you would have. And then the next step, which is so key, is then you go into curiosity. From a place of care and compassion, you become curious about why it did work, why it didn't work, and how you can change in the weeks ahead so that you can start to shift it in a way that does work for you. I hope this was so helpful for you. I have attached also in the link below the tool, the outline of my exact Monday morning brain dump process. You can also join me, link below, on Mondays. If you want to come into my mastermind, please fill it out and join us. It's so great in there. And then also, don't forget, no matter what you do, today, take some sort of action. I encourage you, don't get stuck, don't stay in overwhelm and anxiety and all of that. Come along for the journey, start to change your life, and start moving yourself in the direction that you want to go. Download this outline right now and do it for yourself, and then schedule that time that is sacred, that you do not schedule anything else in that time, so that you can do this every morning and start moving you to the place of achievement in your life, because you have a gift, you have a purpose that you need to fulfill. And discouragement and disappointment and all that shit doesn't feel good. So let's get you feeling good so that you can do good and you can show up in your best capacity. Awesome, it was so great seeing you here today. Please subscribe, like, or comment, share it with a friend. I would love to hear anything that you have to say, and I really do hope that this video was helpful for you. Mwah.